Help with a search and rescue. Look for some man versus nature.
Station's 500 feet up there.
Try and keep up.
No one saw this coming, not even Case. That single bullet left on his porch wasn't just a warning. It was a message that says the war is no longer coming. It's already here. And in episode 4, everything changes. Loyalties crack, enemies move in the shadows, and Case realizes something terrifying. The threat isn't just outside anymore. It's getting closer to home. The episode doesn't waste time. It picks up right after that chilling moment. The bullet sitting silently on Case's porch. No note, no explanation, just a cold, calculated message. And Case understands it instantly. This wasn't meant to scare him. It was meant to tell him something far more dangerous. Someone knows where he lives, how he moves, and when he's vulnerable. What makes this even worse is the timing. After everything that already happened, the road explosion, the shooting on the reservation, the rising tension between the ranchers and Broken Rock, this bullet feels different, more personal, more targeted. And for the first time, Case isn't just dealing with chaos, he's being hunted. As morning breaks, Case doesn't tell anyone right away. That's the first sign something has changed in him. Normally, he would bring this straight to the marshals, let Cal handle it, build a strategy. But this time, he stays quiet. Because deep down, he already suspects something no one else is ready to admit. This threat might be coming from someone who understands him too well. At the marshal's office, the energy is tense. News spreads fast about the aftermath of the road incident. 3 shooters confirmed, only 1 in custody, 2 still out there. And now, with Case being directly targeted, the situation shifts from a public conflict boom to something much more controlled and deliberate. Cal immediately senses that something is off with Case. He's distracted, quieter than usual, watching everything a little too closely. And when Cal pushes him, Case gives nothing away. Just short answers, controlled reactions. But that silence speaks louder than anything else, because it tells us Case is already preparing for something bigger. Meanwhile, Belle starts digging into the ballistics report again. There's something about it that doesn't sit right with her. The rifles used, they're not random. These weren't amateurs. Whoever opened fire knew exactly what they were doing. This wasn't chaos. It was coordinated. And if that's true, then the roadblock incident wasn't just about stopping trucks or sending a message to the reservation. It was a setup. Back on the reservation, Rainwater is already moving pieces into place. He increases security, tightens control, and makes it clear Broken Rock is preparing for escalation. But even he doesn't know who fired those extra shots. And that uncertainty is dangerous, because now both sides are on edge, and no one knows who to trust. The most unsettling part, everyone is starting to realize the same thing at the same time. There's a third force in play, someone who benefits from the ranchers and the reservation tearing each other apart, someone who stays invisible while others take the blame. And Case, he's starting to connect those dots, because that bullet on his porch, it doesn't belong to the ranchers. It doesn't belong to the reservation either, which means one thing. The real enemy hasn't even shown their face yet. The tension doesn't explode right away. It tightens, slowly, quietly, like something closing in. Casey spends the early hours retracing every step from the past few days. Not officially, not as a marshal, but as someone who knows what it feels like to be hunted. He goes back to the roadblock site, not for evidence, but for patterns, angles, distance, positioning. And what he realizes there changes everything. The shooters weren't just firing into chaos, they were controlling it. 3 rifles, 3 different positions, 1 in custody, 2 still missing. But the spacing between those shots tells a deeper story. This wasn't random panic. This was a formation. Military-level precision, the kind of coordination that doesn't come from angry ranchers or desperate locals. This came from training, and that's when it hits him. This isn't just a conflict anymore. It's an operation. Back at HQ, Bell and Cruz are already feeling the shift. The air inside the office is heavier now. Conversations are shorter. Everyone's watching each other a little more closely, because once the idea of a third force enters the room, trust starts to disappear. Cruz pushes harder on Dom Moore, the rancher in custody. This time, she doesn't treat him like a suspect. She treats him like someone who might have been used. And under that pressure, Moore starts to crack. Not in the way they expected, but enough to reveal something new. He wasn't alone out there, but not in the way they think. Moore admits he heard shots that didn't match his rifle, shots that came from deeper in the woods, from positions he didn't even know were occupied. And, more importantly, he says something that changes the direction of the entire investigation. Those shooters didn't sound rushed. They were calm, controlled, like they weren't afraid of getting caught. That detail hits hard, because it confirms Case's growing fear. Whoever was out there wasn't reacting to the situation. They were guiding it. Meanwhile, Cal starts putting pressure on the team. He wants answers, fast. The federal presence is already being questioned, and if this situation spirals again, it won't just be the ranchers and the reservation at risk. It'll be the marshals themselves, but even Cal can feel it slipping. This isn't something he can control with orders and protocol, because the enemy isn't visible, and that makes it worse. Out on the reservation, Rainwater is dealing with his own version of the same problem. His people are angry, armed, ready to respond. But he holds them back, not because he trusts the situation, but because he doesn't understand it yet. And Rainwater knows something most people don't. Reacting too early can be just as dangerous as doing nothing. But even with that restraint, pressure is building. The mine project hasn't stopped. The ranchers are regrouping, and now rumors are spreading that the shooting wasn't just a clash. It was something bigger, something planned, and fear starts turning into suspicion. Back in town, Miles begins digging into older case files. Not recent ones, older ones. Incidents that felt disconnected at the time. Small conflicts, unexplained violence, patterns that didn't make sense back then. But now they start lining up. Similar tactics, similar confusion, and always the same outcome. 2 sides blaming each other, while someone else walks away clean. When he brings this to Bell, there's a moment of silence between them, because they both realize the same thing at the same time. This has happened before, just not this big. And now it's escalating. Case returns to HQ later than expected. Quiet, focused, different. And this time, when Cal looks at him, he doesn't see hesitation. He sees certainty. Case finally speaks up. And what he says shifts the entire direction of the episode. This isn't about the ranchers. This isn't about the reservation. This is about someone who wants both sides to destroy each other so they can take whatever's left. And the bullet on his porch? That wasn't a threat. It was a reminder. They're already watching him. The tension hits a new high as the episode dives deeper into the chaos that's been quietly building. Case can feel the walls closing in, and it's not just physical. Every interaction, every glance, every conversation carries weight. The bullet on his porch was a spark, but now the fire is spreading. Trust is dissolving, and the marshals start to see just how thin the line between order and disaster has become. At Broken Rock Road, the fallout from the previous clashes continues to ripple. The locals are still simmering, and the ranchers feel the sting of humiliation from being held back. Belle and Miles are navigating the undercurrents of anger and resentment, realizing that controlling the narrative on both sides is nearly impossible. People are looking for someone to blame, and the marshals are caught squarely in the middle. The delicate balance of authority, respect, and fear is teetering, and the slightest misstep could ignite another full-scale confrontation. Casey's training exercises at HQ become a critical moment in this section. He's teaching Navy-style tactics to a team that's eager but raw, highlighting weaknesses in their approach. These sessions aren't just about physical preparation. They're a metaphor for the larger battle ahead. The marshals are being tested in real time, and Casey knows that every move counts. His calm intensity pushes the team, but there's a constant reminder lurking at the edge. The real threat is unpredictable, hidden, and far more dangerous than any drill. The first real betrayal surfaces during a late-night debrief. Cruz discovers inconsistencies in Dom Moore's testimony, suggesting that he might not be acting alone. The tension between loyalty and deception becomes painfully clear. Who can they trust? Even those who seem aligned with their mission may have hidden agendas. Moore's revelations hint at larger networks working behind the scenes, orchestrating conflict for reasons no one yet fully understands. The audience feels the suspense as layers of manipulation begin to unravel, and the stakes shift from local skirmishes to a broader conspiracy. Case takes a risky move, visiting Rainwater on the reservation. Their conversation is tense and layered with unspoken history. Case tries to reason with him, urging a strategic retreat to prevent more bloodshed, but Rainwater's perspective is just as rigid as it is protective. He reminds Case of past conflicts, where sacrifices were made for the survival of his people. The dialogue is sharp, charged with emotion, and carefully balances respect and defiance. This encounter reinforces the theme that morality is often gray in high-stakes situations, and that both sides are fighting for something deeply personal. Meanwhile, the investigation into the shooters continues to deepen. Bell receives a ballistics report confirming that 3 rifles were discharged at the roadblock, not just the one in custody. 2 shooters are still out there, operating with precision and control. The realization that the original attack was coordinated rattles the team. They understand that the chaos on Broken Rock Road was engineered, not spontaneous. Every decision they make now is shadowed by the knowledge that the enemy has the advantage of planning, preparation, and concealment. The tension is further intensified by the human cost. Innocents have already been caught in the crossfire, including a young child, reminding viewers that these conflicts aren't abstract or distant. Every move, every tactical decision carries consequences. The audience feels the suspense in a visceral way, knowing that another misstep could lead to tragedy. This section amplifies the stakes, showing that the lines between law, loyalty, and survival are fraying. As Section 3 closes, Case starts connecting the dots. The Marshals' challenges, the ongoing threats, and the strategic manipulations all point to a single truth. There's a larger, unseen force manipulating both sides. The bullet on his porch wasn't a random act. It was a calculated signal from someone who knows the entire chessboard. And Case realizes that the true fight isn't just for control of Broken Rock or even for the safety of the reservation and ranchers. It's for survival itself, and no one is guaranteed to make it out unscathed.